Good day, everyone. The topic we are considering now is trigonometry. Under the trigonometry, in this material, we are going to consider two basic things, which are right angle triangle. When you hear the name trigonometry, you know triangle is very important. Under right angle triangle, we are going to discover some important things that will make you to be able to identify triangle. Because from experience over years, I discovered that a lot of students, they don't know right angle triangle. They cannot identify. They just use mere idea or mere sight. Also, we consider SOHCAHTOA. Now, I will start with right angle triangle. How do you identify right angle triangle? There are about 3 or 4 ways you can identify a right angle triangle. The first one I would like to tell you is, if the examiner says triangle ABC is a right angle triangle, is clearly stated in the question that the triangle is a right angle triangle, is a right angle triangle. If it is stated, then another way, this is a triangle. It's wrong for you to look at the triangle that this triangle look like right angle triangle and assume that is a right angle triangle. Don't use assumption. You need to be sure. Then what do you need to look for? There must be this sign. Now, what is the meaning of this sign? You see, in a right angle triangle, we have a vertical line and a horizontal. That angle-like shape between them, it shows that vertical line and that horizontal line, they are perpendicular. When you have lines that are perpendicular, it means that the angle between them is 90. So when you see a triangle and you see this sign between the vertical and the horizontal line, it means it's a right angle triangle. Examiner may not say anything about it, but as long as you see a triangle like this and you see that sign between the horizontal line and that vertical line, it means it's a right angle triangle. Another way, when you have a circle and you have a line that is tangential to that circle, if you have a line from the center that touches that line that is tangential to that circle, the angle between that radius, a line from the center of a circle to the circumference is known as radius. That line, which is the radius, and the line that is tangential to that circle, the angle between them is angle 90. Note that sign I explained to you earlier. You will not see, the examiner will not write it. They will not see that sign there that the two lines are perpendicular. But anytime you see a circle and a radius in that circle, and we see a line tangential to that circle, the angle between those two lines is angle 90. So this triangle that forms from this shape is a right angle triangle. Now, I want to tell you another one. If you see a circle and you see a line that passes through the center, which is known as diameter, this diameter forms a triangle inside a circle. That triangle is a right angle triangle. When you see a circle and you have a line that is a diameter in that circle, and that line forms a triangle inside that circle, that triangle inside that circle is a right angle triangle. Under right angle triangle, there is when you have a right angle triangle, the longest side is known as hypotenuse. The longest side is known as hypotenuse. Then we have other lines, the vertical one and the horizontal one. Now, I say vertical one and the horizontal one for a reason. I will explain better about that vertical line and horizontal line later. Now, when you have this hypotenuse, which is the longest side, then you have the other line, the vertical one and the horizontal one. This, you want to do Pythagoras theorem. You have 3 steps you can use to do your Pythagoras theorem. Now, if the question says that what is the hypotenuse, that is the longest side, let's say that longest side, the hypotenuse, let us call it h. Now, you will do h square is equal to, I name one 0, I name one a. 0 square plus a square. You can say h square is equal to a square plus 0 square. It means the same thing. Then h is equal to square root of o square plus a square. That is how to do that. But in case they ask you for the vertical one, which I name O, you say O square is equal to h square minus a square. And you say O is equal to square root of h square minus a square. And if they're asking you the horizontal one, you say a square is equal to h square minus o square. Then a is equal to square root of h square minus o square. Note, when you are finding that o, it is wrong for you to say o square is equal to a square minus h square. It is wrong. Why? Because hypotenuse is the longest side of a triangle. When you do that, you get negative. And note, you can't get any answer out of square root of negative number. And also, if you want to find the a, which is the horizontal line, it is wrong for you to say a square is equal to o square minus h square. It is supposed to be a square is equal to h square minus o square. And a is equal to square root of h square minus o square. SOHCAHTOA. In SOHCAHTOA, you see we have S, that S in red, it means sine. That C in red, it means cosine. And that T, it means tangent. So that sine, we just call it sine. Then that cosine, we just call it cos. And that tangent, we just call it tan. Before you can do Pythagoras theorem and SOHCAHTOA, the triangle must be right angle triangle. Anytime the triangle is not right angle triangle, don't think of Pythagoras theorem and SOHCAHTOA. This right angle is a right angle triangle, as I've said earlier on. And we have angle theta. There must be an angle inside that triangle. In this case, I have angle theta. The line that faces angle theta is known as opposite. The longest side, hypotenuse, I mentioned that one earlier. And the bottom part of that angle 90 and the angle theta given to you is known as adjacent. Do not mismatch. If you put adjacent for opposite and opposite for adjacent, you will not get correct answer. This is one of major problem I've discovered over years. So the angle that faces the line that faces the angle given to us is the opposite. The longest side is the hypotenuse, and the bottom place, the horizontal line, is the adjacent. Assuming it's like this, I have angle alpha. In this place, the line that faces angle alpha is the opposite. The longest side, I've said earlier on, that one is hypotenuse. Then the bottom place of that angle alpha and that right angle, angle 90, is adjacent. When you have identified these, then you can think of SOHCAHTOA. What's SOHCAHTOA? So, it means sine theta is equal to opposite. That O means opposite, H means hypotenuse. Cos theta is adjacent over hypotenuse, while tan theta is opposite over adjacent. Now, I would like to talk about a few examples so that you can see how to use this. Now, in this example, I have the triangle, and the right triangle is right angle triangle. So I can think of Pythagoras theorem. If I have two sides, I'm looking for the third side. And I can think of SOHCAHTOA if I have one angle, one side, and I'm looking for another side. But in this case, I have one angle, I have one side, I'm looking for another side. That line where I have 5 is known as opposite because it faces angle 35. The longest side is W. When I have opposite, which is 5, and hypotenuse, which is W, let me put the two together, O and H. So I can think of so. It means that sine 35 is equal to 5 all over W. When I have this one, I can cross multiply. Then I have W sine 35 is equal to 5. Then W is equal to 5 over sine 35. By the time you pick your calculator, you put 5 divided by sine 35, you get 8.717. And approximately, this is equal to 8.7. Another one. In this case, I have another right angle triangle. I have angle 50. I have a line that is 4. I have another one that is called Z. Then I want to find the value of Z. When I look at this triangle, where that Z is located is opposite. and the bottom place, that horizontal line, which is 4, is adjacent. So when I want to compare, I want to merge opposite and adjacent together. Opposite and adjacent, that is TOA. So tan 50 is equal to opposite over adjacent. I can say tan 50 is equal to Z over 4, which is equal to this. Tan 50 is equal to Z over 4. As usual, I'll just cross multiply. Z is equal to 4 tan 50. So I can check my calculator, tan 50. My calculator give me 1.1917. So if I multiply the two, I get 4.77, approximately 4.8. Another one. In this case, I have the longest side, which is 7, and that is hypotenuse, and the bottom side, which is 7, and that one is adjacent. But in this case, theta is unknown. I don't know theta. So, but hypotenuse and adjacent, what combine them together? Among so K2. Okay, it's K. C-A-H. Cos. Adjacent over hypotenuse. So I will say cos theta is equal to 4 over 7. When cos theta is equal to 4 over 7, I will say theta is equal to cos 4 over 7. Then how do you press this on your calculator? You pick your calculator. On the calculator, you see shift. You press shift cos. It will give you that sign cos raised to power -1 or something like that. That is known as cos. 4 over 7. Then you press enter. It gives you 55.15. Approximately 55.2. I want you to try as much as possible to solve these simple questions. You can solve many questions. Please try to apply this. I have something very important in what I've done today. I focus on right angle triangle, and I've told you different ways of identifying right angle triangle. When you identify right angle triangle, then you can think of Pythagoras or SOHCAHTOA. Then I've given you an example on sine, which is opposite over hypotenuse, cos, which is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tan, which is opposite over adjacent. I want you to try and lay your hand on as many questions as possible, especially past papers. And I know that you will master it very well and you do excellently well in your exam. Thank you and stay safe.